Ladies and gentlemen, this is a tactic, and this is a type of reaction, political reaction, that has been perfected by Democrats or liberal Democrats more so than any Republicans. It is, and I know this from personal experience, and I would never get into personal stories like Adam Kinzinger did by showing the world a letter he got from a family member. So you know the whole thing is this contrived political stunt. Yes, he probably had pushback or was shunned by family members for going against President Trump, but that dynamic has been perfected by Democrats, liberal Democrats. I know. I have known people, and I would never get into the personal element or the stories or the ways that I've been disappointed. I'm not Adam Kinzinger and I'm just, throw out a letter or something and, let others, judge the actions of people that I know or that I was close to. But this is, you can look, so this story is about a never Trump Republican who's in the news now because he spoke up against Trump. He's an Illinois Republican representative. So he's probably, so you see what's happened with the Lincoln Project. They've imploded. All their skeletons are out of the closet now. Everyone knows what's going on with them. Okay, the most disgusting and egregious activity happened in that organization. I told you. Now, I'm going to always vote against the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. I'm going to always vote against the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld foreign policy hawks and neoconservative type of political operatives. Okay? You still have the Mitt Romneys of the world, and you have Adam Kinzinger, who... Let's give CNN, or I don't know if it was the New York Times or CNN, but there's a CNN article. 11 members of Republican Adam Kinzinger's family sent him a vitriolic letter accusing him of being a member. Okay, So, and it goes into the kind of irrational type of accusations against Kinzinger by 11 family members. Number one, hit subscribe to this channel right now. We're on our way to 200,000 subs. Go to hagoodman.com. You can read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, the Roanoke Times, other publications. Definitely watch my debates. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below and in the pin and description, and also on hagoodman.com. This actually hits home for me because this is a tactic that Democrats use. They boycott anything. Any company associated with Trump, they boycott. Any company that was in any way associated with the horrendous events that had nothing to do with the horrendous events weeks back, they boycott. So if you say something on social media, they want you, that's like, I don't have Twitter, I don't have Facebook. I haven't had social media for 2 years, so I don't have Twitter or Facebook. Thank God. I told people to get off of Twitter. But if you disagree with them in any way, if you say something where it's a controversial statement, they don't treat you the way that they ask. They don't give you the mercy that they request. So whether it's an MSNBC host or a TYT host, or a litany of people who have said the most egregious things, racist, bigoted things, they get away with it because they say, gosh, I have sinned. They're like the televangelists of today. They demand mercy when it's them, and they offer only condemnation, and they want to just excommunicate you from existence if you say something or do anything on social media, or really just... AOC wanted lists of Trump supporters. Okay, I mean, we can go on forever. they're going to paint you as somebody who worked with Putin. They're like, in many ways, they've lost it. They think that Trump is a reincarnation of the 1930s and 1940s Germans, even though he's the opposite of that in every way. They're if you want to use that analogy, that political party is closer. Read my Jerusalem Post article on what AOC said and why Yad Vashem had to refute her revisionist claims. But this is the type of thing that they're always accusing others of what they're guilty of. So Adam Kinzinger has members of his family who disagree with him and who, like, really, in an irrational manner, try to shun him. Okay, I can tell you that I know, let's see, people that, like, lifelong friends that I've known for 30 years or so. 1, 2, 3, 4 lifelong friends who, because of whether it was groupthink or people they hung out with or just this derangement syndrome towards President Trump, they, 4 people, either stabbed me in the back in a certain way or just suddenly said, I'm upset with you, I don't want to talk to you anymore, that type of thing. Or basically abandoned me, you know. And I did literally nothing wrong to them other than have a different political opinion. Okay? There are no family members, although I know that there are family members perhaps that are angry with me. But I considered, you know, these people close enough to be family. So, and I think there are others too. Oh yeah, there are others too that I've known forever that I wasn't as close to. But so anyway, there's probably more than 4 people. But it was these liberal Democrats that basically viewed me as being as engaging in blasphemy, excommunicating me from their lives, shunning me. I didn't do that to them. In fact, I always put friendship, family, personal bonds ahead of politics. That's what a human being should do. Politics is below your experiences and your memories and life is short, okay? If CNN or MSNBC or Fox or Newsmax tell you something, that's like, you should compartmentalize that. And you politics and religion, you don't talk about or you don't allow to break or alter any bonds you have with people. But it's not the Trump supporters who have convinced themselves that the 1930s and 1940s Germans are on the left. It's the left that lacked an argument against President Trump other than, oh my God, his mean tweets, and because of that, he's now a despot. He's now a tyrant. I've been yelled at. Because it's like you can't reason. Once they've convinced themselves that Trump was the 1930s and 1940s Germans reincarnated, even though he moved the embassy to Jerusalem, recognized the Golan as Israel's, signed an executive order combating anti-Semitism on college campuses, opposed military interventions and signed prison reform legislation. So that's like the opposite. Like, so you either have to be extremely ignorant and not know anything about history, or just a devoted CNN and MSNBC follower, or you were never into politics. And I know those types of people, but you started reading the New York Times and you think suddenly, because everyone you hang out with despises Trump, and you read the New York Times and the Washington Post, and you say, oh, well, these are the prestigious newspapers, so therefore Trump must be a horrendous human being, and really, like, you know, every life in the pandemic is his fault. Not so much his top medical expert, not so much Cuomo or Phil Murphy or Newsom or anybody else, but his fault. He actually told Cuomo and Whitmer and Murphy and others who've presided over the worst outcomes according to the New York Times statistics, he told them exactly how to run their states. So they're absolved of guilt, and every life lost is his fault. So when you look, I mean, it's been it's interesting that what they always do this with Clinton and the Uranium One donations and the Steele dossier being compiled allegedly with one Russian intelligence official. They're always the ones who engage in the behavior that they then, through like this public relations spin and sleight of hand, they're always the ones that engage in the behavior, and then they accuse others of engaging in that despicable behavior. It is not generally, and this is pretty much a fact, it is generally not Trump supporters who have alienated people in their lives because they voted for Clinton or Biden. It is the opposite. It is the liberal Democrats in your life who have argued with you and berated you on Facebook or Twitter. I don't have Facebook and Twitter, thank God. But it's generally the people on the left in your life who have made your life difficult. Generally, Trump supporters don't care what you do politically. Now, Adam Kinzinger, what he did, I find pretty... What he did, I find pretty... Like, I don't know why he would. It's interesting. I'm never going to, nobody knows who I am, but I have a tiny presence. I'm approaching 200,000 subscribers, but I'm never going to talk about a personal interaction. I'm never going to talk about how this person or that person in my life disappointed me, or how I allegedly disappointed them because of politics. I'm never going to talk about how this person shunned me, or how that person stabbed me in the back, or how this person should have done something, or whatever. I'm not going to go into specifics. How I was shunned, what I had to deal with because I supported Trump from Bernie Sanders. And by the way, there's certain people, actually two of whom I literally said before they shunned me, hey, don't let my support for Trump get in the way of our friendship. Our friendship is decades old. Don't get in the way. Okay. They still got it. They still allowed their contempt for Trump to get in the way of the friendship. As if it's interesting too, because at a certain point, here's my vantage point. Here I can back it up. Their vantage point they can't back up. Their vantage point is always hyperbole. He's at 100% at fault. You worship him. It's always like crazy nonsense, right? I don't say that they worship Clinton or they worship Biden. And so, but they have to go there. You see what I mean? It's always like they melt down where I'm like, no, Libya, look at the Libya intervention. Look at the Senate report on President Obama's administration. See, they don't know enough about politics because they were never into politics, many of them. Many of them think they know a lot about politics. But when it comes down to it, they're just ideologues that know only enough to represent their vantage point, and then they tune out when it's... When you call them on their hyperbole, they just tune out and they don't text back. But what Adam Kinzinger dealt with is what a lot more Trump supporters have dealt with than Democrats. You have people who have had their minds warped with contempt and disdain for President Trump, which is why the Lincoln Project got $90 million. Now, Adam Kinzinger... his thing is that he's a Republican. He's a Republican. Most Republicans want to see Trump play a big role in GOP. 75% of Republicans. So according to the poll, 87% of Republicans said that Trump should be allowed to hold elected office again. 3 out of 4 Republicans want to see former President Trump play a big role in the GOP. So now he's an Illinois Republican. It's one of the most blue states, Chicago or Illinois. And I don't know what district he's from, but he's a blue state Republican. So he has a different vantage point from the Lincoln Project. I give him, respect. He's a veteran, so he has his own viewpoint on foreign policy. Obviously, perhaps he's okay with the Lincoln Project, or I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is that President Trump stood for an anti-interventionist, anti-regime change, never-ending counterinsurgency conflict foreign policy. Adam Kinzinger is against President Trump primarily because of his personality, Trump's personality, and I don't know. He wants to serve as this opposition, so that's why he's getting, so much love and admiration and sympathy from CNN and the New York Times, and just God, if you dislike Trump, you're going to get only the best media coverage. But what he did was, it's very interesting. He took it way too far, and sending the media a letter, like I would not do that. And I don't think anyone should do that. That's just low. So what did Adam Kinzinger, what did he claim, what did he gain from this? He obviously didn't care enough about the people who shunned him to protect their privacy. He obviously didn't care at all. Because he just, so CNN and the rest, he's giving the world like allowing them to enter the minds of Trump supporters. You know how many times, how many friends, how many family members, how many people have shunned supporters of President Trump because they're liberal Democrats and they get riled up and just, their minds are completely warped by Twitter and Facebook and CNN and MSNBC, the Washington Post, the New York Times. That's not reality. Okay, reality doesn't have a liberal bias. Ask the people in Libya. Ask the people in Flint. Ask the people at Standing Rock. Would they think that the liberal bias made sense when it was Democrats presiding or culpable or responsible for atrocities and horrendous behavior? You think that the liberal bias is going to help the Lincoln Project when they got $90 million from morally superior liberals? And this is the issue. Many people on the left. So what Kinzinger did is he did exactly what media wants portrayed, when the reality is the opposite. The religion. So he gave the world this document that showed family members saying that he was, it was like blasphemy. It was from a religious perspective. The religion actually is oftentimes liberal Democrats who they're not really into religion. They're not really they might not be atheists, but might not be, truly believe that there's a God or whatever. It's like important for them, but maybe not so much important for them. It's important for them as a cultural element, but not aspect in their life, but not like, it's not like they truly believe that, but they really believe in a religion called politics. So you have people who truly believe that history will see them in a positive light. Well, history it's just taken 3 months, and it's already, if you retweeted the Lincoln Project, you're not really represented well in history. So it's within 3 weeks. Tell me a deputy press secretary that resigned for actually stating "I'll destroy you" to a political journalist, a female political journalist in Trump's administration. That never happened. If it did, everything in Trump's administration was sensationalized. Oh my God, he fired somebody. It's like, so what? What happened with the Biden's press secretary was was a much bigger story. And if it happened under Trump's administration, oh my God, it would be the end of the world. It would be the end of the world. It would be the end of the world. But what Kinzinger did was he tried to flip the script and kind of change the narrative. The reality is that it's Democrats who have turned politics into a religion. It's Democrats, oftentimes liberal Democrats, who have shunned family members and friends. It is liberal Democrats who didn't even like the same people who didn't like me when I was supported President Trump had a problem with me when I was a Bernie Sanders supporter. and said I wouldn't vote for Clinton. It's like they go to the far left too. They go against the far left too. So, but what Kinzinger did was just like this low class thing to do. This kind of, despicable type of, oh, here's my dirty laundry, or here are people that I claim to care about because they shunned me, but I'm going to engage in an immoral act by showing you their actual writing. So, and it's like, why would you do that to your own family members? Why would you do that? I always put friends, family, people I consider family, people I considered important in my life, far above politics. Far above politics. And if your only argument against Trump is that he's the reincarnation of the 1930s, 1940s Germans, you are ignorant of history. You know nothing about that time period, and you very likely agree with AOC. And I wrote a Jerusalem Post op-ed explaining exactly why AOC was wrong, and the fact that Yad Vashem refuted her revisionist historical claims. So, and those claims were quite dangerous. But see, again, the propaganda spin has got the left warped. They're the ones who argue all the time. You should see what they do. Just incidentally, like, I'm not on the left, or I'm not, but I see, like, I still look into that world and see what's taking place, because I remember how I was treated when I said I wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton. And the most venom and vitriol is saved not for Trump supporters. It's saved for people on the far left. You should see what they're doing to themselves. It's nuts. The lives of people on the left are devoted to disparaging, demeaning, undermining, and trying to shame other leftists for not voting alongside the Democratic Party. Look what they're doing to Jimmy Dore. The same people who claim to be like the $20 million venture capital people, look what they're doing to Jimmy Dore. And he's literally saying, like, you promised Medicare for all. Why don't you just vote on it at least? But the left doesn't want to vote on policies. It's about groupthink. Democrats revolve around groupthink. Republicans used to, but they don't. That's not the case anymore. That's not the case anymore. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. What Adam Kinzinger, the political stunt that he tried to pull, that's what happens on the left. More so to family members and friends that support President Trump than the opposite, than what he experienced. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you. I'll be back numerous times.